Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're up to part 86 of the emergency storage shed cleanout series. I'm back from Tasmania. The last episode you saw I'd recorded just beforehand. Now we're real life back in here, trying to get back into normal for, after a holiday you have a bit of a flat spot. Next week though I'm off to the farm, so there's no time for sitting around. I have to get an episode out for this week. I have to also plan something for when I'm away next week. Let's get into it. We're working on that big unit there. We did the clicky keyboards off the top last episode. What's next? So we're going to work our way down this shelf. It looks like we have a couple of old computer monitors. They could even be monochrome ones. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. Don't even know if I can test them. So we'll get them down. We'll make some decisions. Looks like there's a large horn speaker there. Possibly some sort of alarm bell. And that little gas canister with a burner tube on it actually dropped on my head one other episode, or nearly. We'll have to do something with that. I probably might keep it. I don't know. We'll have a look at it. So let's get this stuff onto the bench and work it out. And Coco's barking at me from over on the deck. You can see she's sitting up on top of the table. That's her new favourite spot. She can see her entire kingdom from that table. And you'll notice there's still quite a bit of junk on the deck from the great carport clean out, or the half carport clean out. I have processed some of it, but I do have more to do. It's really difficult when you're going away and you're going to the farm every third week or something, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. It needs to be cleaned by Christmas time. I must admit, it is great to get back into my shed after all our travels. We were ready to come home. You know, we like a holiday like everyone, but we kind of miss home and our routines, and it's good to get back into here. That's a tiny little monitor. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to test this one. We'll see how we go. We need to make decisions one way or another. I'll go and get the others. This one's a little Samsung. Pretty cute, aren't they? I'm sure a vintage PC person would like these monitors. Yes, a large horn speaker and alarm bells. So that's that shelf cleaned off. Beautiful, making progress. Let's sort this out now and decide what to do with it. Okay, we'll do the monitors last, just because we'll have more room on the bench once we get these other things out of the road. Now this is like your big outside announcement type speaker. I don't think it was a handheld megaphone. I think it was actually mounted probably up on a side of a building for some sort of alarm or announcement, maybe even school announcements. I don't think they've got much value. We have, that's not a wire, that's actually a cable. So maybe for mounting or something. And it looks like your wires went into there. I'll take the top cover off. Oh, that's actually loose. And I guess we should be able to test it, because it's basically a speaker. Oh, it's got strange ohm readings. It has a common and 1 kilo ohm, 670 ohms, 500 ohms, 400 ohms. Not sure about that, because most speakers I deal with are like only 8 ohms or 4 ohms. So I don't know what's going on there. I suppose I can feed an audio signal into it and see what happens. Okay, we'll turn that radio down for a tick. In fact, I'll unplug the other speaker. And I have a speaker wire here. So this is my workshop amplifier. And I have the speaker wires disconnected. So now that this can feed into the amplifier. This is very high impedance for a speaker. As I said, most of them are 4 or 8 ohms. This one goes from 400 up to 1K. A higher impedance speaker means it's going to draw less current, so it won't hurt the amplifier, but it won't produce very much sound either. So let's see if we can get some noise out of it. We'll do the 400 ohm terminal and the common. So we'll go, the yellow was the common, and no sparks or anything, which is good. We shouldn't have any power here. There we go, it's working.
Wasn't phased at all. Thanks, Wendy. I'm sure you were at least a little bit phased.
Very good. So not super loud, as I said, but it does work. I assume it will work on the other ones. It works on each of them, but it gets progressively quieter, which is exactly what should happen.
Not so positive. I'm thinking of all the watts.
All right, excellent. So we can now say that's tested and works. You must have to have a special amplifier to produce an audio signal that is happy with those sort of impedances. But confident now we can sell this as a going horn speaker. I don't know what it's worth. It's large. I'll check eBay to see if they do bring much. I'm thinking $20. I don't think it's worth a great deal, but someone might like it. We might go 30. I'll check it out first. For those who haven't seen it, I've got a little junction point I made here to allow it easy for me to test things, so I can do amp input. I have leads from the tuner, and I think that one underneath is a CD, and then the speaker jacks. I'll move those out of the road so it's easy for me to access any point of my stereo system here, whether I want to plug something into speakers, left or right channel, whether I want to input something into the amplifier, and tuner and CD use. So good little setup there. I did a video on that once. I'll put a link underneath or up above if I can find it. And the little brackets there, I actually used the ends of old fluorescent tubes. So these steel brackets are from an old fluorescent tube assembly, and I wired it up there. And it's really handy. I've used that lots of times. It saves me pulling out an amplifier or getting a spare speaker from somewhere. I can just plug in whenever I need it. Next item to look at is these alarm bells. I don't know what they're from. I've had them in the shop before and they tend to sell quite well. We can usually test them to make sure they work. Now these bells are sometimes brass but usually cast iron. I think these will be an iron, yeah, magnetic. The brass ones actually have a much better ring to them. That's why they use brass for bells, because it has a much better resonance, but this will still make a fair ring when it's going. So the little hammer oscillates between the two bells to give that familiar alarm bell tone. Let's have a look under here. There should be some sort of coil. It looks like it might be a low voltage, like a 12 volt or something. I better work that out and we'll see if we can get it to make a noise. Okay, I've got these bells on the test bench. I'm going to put some voltage into it to see what happens. I can't see any voltage measurements on there. There is a 6, but I'm not sure if that refers to voltage or not. So we've got 6 volts DC here. And if we put it on these terminals, okay, the donga moved across. No other movement. If we reverse the polarity, it moved back. So some of these bells, particularly with the one bell and a gonger on the side, will work on DC, and it's often a spring-loaded donga, and when you connect the voltage, it springs across and dongs, but as it does that, something in the mechanics breaks the circuit and a spring will pull it away. Then it connects the circuit, goes across, and it just alternates like that. So you have a constant make and break of the circuit to allow it to ring. With this one, I think this is actually designed to run on AC. I don't think we can get it to work on DC because it goes across and we have to reverse the polarity to get it to go back. So that's on 6 volts. I think we'll try it on 12 because it seemed a bit sluggish moving there. We'll try that. Yeah, I think that's better. Now we have manual alternating current. Okay, so I think 12 volts AC or thereabouts should get it to work. I think I've got an AC voltage power supply here. Let me dig it out. Okay, I have an AC power supply, otherwise known as a vintage electric blanket transformer. They produce up to 32 volts AC. It has various settings, minimum, low, medium, high, and maximum, which roughly equate to, I think, about 8 volts in steps up to 32. But it's handy for testing things where I need an AC voltage supply. So I haven't actually done one of these before, and I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, but we'll give it a go. Hook up our leads to the back. So it's on its lowest voltage there, which I think, yeah, is just over 6, I think. All right, had a little bit of a rumble. Maybe we don't have enough power. Let's go to medium, which is probably about 15, 16 volts. Okay. Oh, it's working. However, the the donger is just vibrating against one of the bells. It's not going back and forward. So perhaps this will be producing AC voltage at 50 Hertz. That's 50 cycles per second. It's probably too fast for this. So maybe it needs an AC supply with a lower frequency, because 50 cycles per second is not moving the donger back and forward. It's just vibrating on one side. Maybe it needs a switching DC supply. Maybe there's something else has to go with it. I'm not totally sure. I haven't actually had one exactly the same as this, where the whole coil pivots. But anyway, we've proved that the coil's okay. It does work. It just needs the correct power supply. That's enough for me. I'm going to clean it up and put it in the shop as going, and say perhaps put a note on it, unknown voltage or power supply requirements. If you know the exact details for powering something like this, whether it is an AC voltage with a lower frequency or some special power supply, I'm not sure, let me know. Put a comment down below. Next thing to deal with is this little propane torch thingo. It doesn't feel like there's any gas in there, but the tube is a good general heating tube. I don't know exactly what I'd use it for, but it's one of these things that could be very handy one day. Yeah, I know that's a major cliche. And you can buy these replacement tubes. So, oh, it feels like it's got gas in it. Well, you know what that means. I'm going to have to try and light it up. All right, let's not cause too much damage in the workshop. Oh, there we go. That's a good flame. So the thing's pretty much out of gas, but it's going to be an excellent item for perhaps preheating some metal before welding it with cast iron rods. You've got to get something very hot before you do that. Or maybe heating up a large pulley to try and free it up if it's seized on a shaft. So I don't have an oxyacetylene set here. This isn't as hot as that, but it could be handy for future jobs. So we'll hang that up in the shed somewhere. I have got some other propane gas cylinders somewhere as well. So that's a useful tool, not for sale. Okay, now to deal with these monitors. This first one is branded, looks like TAC. It's got an on-off switch underneath, and just it looks like a brightness and a contrast. Flat screen. It's not very large. What are we looking at? Might be a 13-inch. What's it say on the back? Here we go. It is a monochrome monitor, model number EM-1412P. Might be a 12-inch. Power ratings, scan frequencies. Okay, I don't know what. It's made in Taiwan. I would suggest it's 1980s. But yeah, other than that, I don't know much about it. We have a power lead, which is obviously designed to plug into the back of the PC, I guess. And it looks like a VGA plug of sorts. I don't think we're going to be able to actually feed a signal into it. I'll have to try and power it up though and see if something happens. Okay, we are going to power it up. I've got a power lead plugged in, but the input plug is not a VGA. It doesn't suit my IBM computer, so we're not going to be able to put a signal into it. Well, green light's on. Will we get anything on the screen, or do we need some sort of signal to activate them? I don't know, but we do have a green power light, so obviously the switch is on. But I don't think we've got anything else going on. So we probably don't get anything on the screen until there's a signal, and we can't give it a signal. So, all right, it's got a little bit of a buzz to it. It sounds like it's working, but we've just got nothing on the screen. So we're just going to have to say, I think I'll put it in the shop for maybe $80 and say powers up, but untested otherwise. Not much more we can do. And it's probably going to be the same with the other one. Can't even get the screen to go bright. Maybe it's got a crook screen. I don't know, but it does power up. Let's turn it off. Turn it back on. Nothing going on the screen at all. So maybe it has a fault. But I think we'll go 80 bucks. Someone might buy it just as a prop. It's probably fixable. It might still be working. Let's try the other one. Okay, this one is a Samsung. It's a similar size screen. Maybe a 12-inch. And we'll look at the back of it. And it's an SM12SS39A7. Made in Korea. Doesn't say anything about being monochrome or not, so not sure on that. But probably a similar age, probably 1980s. Let's put some power in. Same deal with the input. We're probably not going to be able to, well, we can't. It actually hasn't got as many pins as the other one. But we'll see if we can get some life out of this screen. Righto, power's on. We don't have a green light, but the switch is probably off. No light at all. This one looks dead. Okay, there's no sign of any life. Okay, same deal with this one. I'm just going to put, well, I'll have to put a note on it that did not power up and just leave it at that. Someone might like to try and fix it. We might just put $50 on this. Again, it might make a nice prop. I'll clean it up. I'll wipe the remains of a sticker off the front there. The screen's actually quite good. Wipe all the dust off it and it can go into the shop just as it is. So that will finish up today's unboxing, although nothing came out of a box, but you know what I mean. We've got everything here ready to go into the shop. I've cleaned the monitors down. They do look really good, actually. And price-wise, I made a few little adjustments. I went for 25 on the horn speaker. I put 30. We didn't discuss the price of the alarm bells. I put 30 on that. The monitors, I've basically priced at 50, but I've added them in at 60 each because that's what the price sticker will say in the shop. It just allows for sometimes people want to haggle, and if they've been there for a while, well, I'll do them at 50, but we'll price them at 60 each. If any of you guys are interested, I don't want to post CRTs. I'm sorry about that. They are small enough to post, but I'd just rather not consign them to the care of the postal service. And plus, it takes time for me to package them. So they're going to stay in the shop. If anyone local who watches my videos wants them, I'll do them at 50 each, no problems. So that gives us a total for this episode of $175, and we have another shelf spare in the emergency storage shed, which you will notice right up there, another empty shelf. And we'll work our way down this shelf unit over the future weeks. So I'll have to organise one for next week because I'll be at the farm, as I mentioned. Thanks for watching this episode. It's nice to be back on track. We'll catch you soon. Bye for now.